טוב, צהריים טובים לכולם. אנחנו בוובינר של נופר על סאן פריים. אני מעביר ישירות לעופר ינאי. עופר, בבקשה.
Hi guys, good afternoon. Nofar operates mainly in Europe. Outside of Israel, there is US, UK, and Europe. And in Europe, there are many subsidiaries of Nofar, and one of the gems is Sunprime. Why Sunprime is a gem? Well, first, because of the gentleman that sits to my left. His name is Antonio. I think I've told you a lot about him many times. He's a brilliant leader. He managed to create a brilliant team here in Sunprime. Managed to face a lot of challenges growing the company, but also because Italy is a big economy in Europe, but it's also an economy that is very difficult to succeed in. A lot of bureaucracies, a lot of difficulties before you manage to execute. And for me, one of the biggest wins of Sunprime is to be able to execute in this environment that is not an easy environment, always in a speed and pace that are really astonishing. I told Antonio that I'm here in Milan with Antonio and with Mr. Oberlander to have a strategy there on Sunprime. And I told him that for me, I've always admired Sunprime as a company, but I told him today I have a clearer understanding of the mature Sunprime and what Sunprime can be in 2 or 3 years. I told him it's like a baby. When a baby is young, and then, oh, he can walk, or he can say daddy for the first time. But then when he matures, oh, this guy he has a great potential. He can be an athlete. He can be a professor. So now we have a clear vision, I think, of Sunprime, the mature Sunprime, and I'm very happy to have the opportunity to share this vision with you. And from now on, I will give the stage to Antonio, and I'll interrupt him from time to time.
Thank you, Ofer, for your introduction, and a good afternoon to everyone. So just a few words about myself, to start. So I'm an industrial engineer, graduated from Politecnico di Milano 15 years ago. I spent from that all my career in the energy industry, mainly working in the amazing solar industry during its growth. I've done project development in Italy and in the UK as well. Then spent some time at McKinsey as a consultant, a management consultant. And from 2020, I started with my team, Sunprime. Sunprime started in 2020 with the idea to become one of the key CNI players in the solar industry here. And actually, I think we can humbly say that after 5 years, we have done something. We have become, for sure, one of the largest CNI players in the country and among the 10 top asset owners of solar asset here in the country. In the last few years, we managed to connect more than 200 megawatts of solar projects across more than 200 projects, making us one of the largest asset owners in the country. We have been very lucky because just after 1 year since inception, we met Ofer, Yanai, Nofar, also Neufund, and they both invested in Sunprime, giving us all the resources to build this company. Currently, Nofar owns 1/3 of the business. The other 1/3 is owned by Neufund, and 1/3 is still with the management. But their initial investment came at the very right point of time that helped us to grow significantly over time. What's the status of the company now? As you can see, the chart on the top right, we have a significant portion of the pipeline already connected, or ready to connect, above 280 megawatt. And overall, we have more than 700 megawatt of solar projects in an advanced status of development that we expect to complete over the next 3 years. How are we financing all these projects? We've been successful also with project financing. We already closed two transactions in the past, at the end of 2022, and then in July 2024 for more than 330 million euros. And this added to the initial equity that we received from our shareholders has helped the company to grow.
Just before you move, I just want to stay in the first slide. I just want to give a few comments on what makes Sunprime unique. For me, Sunprime is a rare combination of three things. First thing is the revenue stability. When we work in our industry, then you have a merchant project, then you need to to accommodate yourself with the uncertainty of the pricing, also of the balancing. So Sunprime gets the revenues in a pay-as-produced manner and in a CFD scheme. And this is something that is extremely unique. So the certainty of the revenues is unique for Sunprime. The second thing is the quality. The quality of the revenue for Sunprime is also in very, very high quality. We'll see that in a continuous slide. And the third thing is the ability to scale, because the ability to scale of Sunprime with all of the infrastructure that Antonio and his team built here around the years is an amazing ability. And what we have now a clear vision of future Sunprime, of the Sunprime of 2028, 2029, 2030, and on. And this combination between certainty of revenues, CFD mechanism, and the quality of the revenue and the scale makes Sunprime a unique, I think a unique company. And it doesn't really hurt us. It kind of helps us, the fact that interest price in Europe has gone significantly down, and price equipment also gone down. So we are looking on better and better returns on whatever we're going to invest in the future.
Yeah, you stress very good points, Ofer. Actually, more than 90% of our pipeline has secured CFD, contract for difference, from GSE. We already won more than 320 megawatt, as you see on the slide, of projects with CFD from GSE. This means that for 20 years, we will have revenue secured for our projects. And actually, we also enjoy what we call a merchant nose offer, so an initial period of 18 months, under which we can sell the electricity produced at market prices. And at the moment in Italy, market prices are very high for the electricity. Today, we are selling at 100 euro per megawatt hour, the electricity generated. And so this is a very important upside that we have on the project. So as you can see here on this chart, what's been the path of our growth. But as I told you, we started in 2020. In 2021, Nofer and Neufeld joined. And I think a very important milestone that I want to point out here is June 23, when we started to work on batteries as well. I remember actually we had at the end of 22 a meeting with Ofer, and as you know, he's a visionary and anticipates what happens in the future. So I started saying, Antonio, focus on batteries. And I have to say that it was right. Why? Because I believe this is now clear in the market, but Italy will be one of the largest and most important markets for batteries in Europe. And Sunprime is very well positioned to be a market leader also in this segment. As of today, we have a very, very good pipeline of ready-to-build projects, also on batteries. And by the end of the next year, we will be one of the very few ones owners of operating batteries in the country. How is this going to happen? Because we are still focusing on medium voltage projects. So on, I would not say smaller project, but say average size, medium-sized projects, on which we have built an important internal capability to manage properly and swiftly the connection process. So this means that we can get to ready to connect and connected phase relatively quicker than all those all the other assets that will be connected in the HV in high voltage. And this is a very very important advantage that we have compared versus all the other competitors in the market.
I want to comment on what we see here. We see the road at Sunprime, the way they grew the company, and I remember all the challenges that Antonio faced, and he gained my respect along the way because I know how difficult it is to bring up a company the way he did. But two comments. First one, this meeting that he mentioned is September 22. I took it as a mission to convince Antonio to go into storage very early. He is a very conservative guy. And I told him, listen, we're not going to leave the office before you are convinced. And at some point, when he convinced, he was so happy to understand all the revenue streams, the future revenue stream. He started to dance at the office. So it was very good meeting, and we managed to move forward with storage very early. The second thing, Sunprime grew up as a CNI company, which means its CNI regulation is always very profitable. But when it's very difficult also to execute it in scale. They managed to build a system here that can execute multiple projects in solar. And when we moved forward with storage, they took this expertise and transformed it into distribution generation storage. This is why they're going to be the first mover on storage and also to profit a lot from that.
Yeah, probably worth saying now what we mean by CNI segment here in this country. So what we mean is not just rooftops. So we built also a lot of solar projects on rooftops, removed the asbestos, so also making a positive impact on the environment. But by CNI, we mean projects in the size between 0.5 megawatt to 10 megawatt that can be connected to the medium voltage. Same thing for solar and also batteries, so still within this range. But we also mean projects built on land, not both industrial and agricultural, but where it's more sustainable to build these projects. And this has gained the support of local planning authorities that have been supporting our developments because they are respectful towards the environment and the context where we develop our projects. And so this is what we expect in terms of future milestones. So where we can get in terms of connected projects, and this line refers to the solar pipeline. So as anticipated, we are at the moment with almost 280 projects connected or at least mechanically completed, awaiting connection in the next few weeks or few months. We expect to reach the 500 milestone by the end of 2026, 500 megawatt connected projects, and then grow above 700 megawatt by the end of 2028. We have focused the attention this year all on building the foundations to support this growth. So as Ofer was pointing out, we do everything internally. So now all our team is focused along the entire value chain of solar project development, meaning that we do origination, project development, EPC, and actually asset management, O&M, so everything in-house. This means managing all the related activities across multiple projects. So the focus in this year, which is, I like to say, a transitory year, in the growth of Sunprime, a turning point. And we can see also from this slide that we are at a turning point in our growth. It's been very important to focus on people, processes, and tools, the ingredients to support future growth.
But you also get some help from a tailwind that helps you. And what helps you now is two things. First, the ability to move and create and build projects, the maturity of the staff and the maturity of the processes is very important. I remember in the early days, Antonio used to call me that the bureaucracy is so difficult. And then he modeled the bureaucratic process in Italy, and I think he split it to 146 different stages. and then he understood how to make it as fast as possible. But it's important to understand that the team here is now capable to build projects that are bigger and bigger. And when you handle, I don't know, 100 projects a year, if every project average size is 1 megawatt, then you will build 100 megawatt a year. But if you're also able to handle projects that are 10 or 20 megawatt, then it means the total of the projects that you will build are much better. The second thing that helps for this turning point is the fact that the regulation framework that Sunprime operated in, the FAIR 19, we will have a slide on it soon, was always considered to be something that might be changed in a year or two. But now Italy has introduced the FAIR-X, which gives the horizon of the regulation for the next 5 years.
5 years.
And this is amazing. At the beginning, I told Antonio, I don't believe the FAIR-X. You will get it for such a long time because it's too good to be true. But this is the regulation, and it's available for the next 5 years. So this is a very, very bright horizon for Sunprime. Mature team, ability to build big and bigger projects, and great regulation ahead.
The important further fact to say is that, as I was saying, now having all the capabilities in-house, so meaning we don't buy anything from the outside. So we do project development ourselves, we do EPC activities ourselves. So this means that this is our equity. So as we grow our pipeline in size, we will not need any further equity injections from Nofar. And thank you all for your support so far.
We will talk more about it in the next slides.
But at least given the current context, regulatory and market context, at the level of capex that we're facing today, we don't expect to have any further needs in terms of equity. Why? Because the team here is creating the equity required now to grow further
for development, but also for the way you finance, and also for the merchant nodes mechanism. We will elaborate on this later. Oh, this is the slide.
This gives us an idea on how we manage financing at Sunprime. But as I was saying earlier, we already closed 2 important financing agreements at the end of 22, then in last year. Now with the largest European banks, we've been supported by Nordel, KfW, Natixis, and the European Investment Bank. A very important fact, for more than 335 million euros, so very significant support. But more important, we are very close to a third large financing that will be around 500 million euros, so one of the largest transactions of this type in the country. It will cover both solar but also batteries. So we are starting to build batteries as well very soon. And all the lenders that already supported us are willing to support to keep this support. And believe this is very important. Now it reflects the level of trust that we have managed to achieve.
Maybe a word about availability period and merchant.
Yeah, exactly. So an important fact is that this transaction will make us available debt to build the projects until the end of 2028. Now we call this period the availability period. No? So the debt will be available for drawdowns for the next 3 years. And a very important fact of the way the financing is structured is that during the availability period, as we have multiple projects, so not one single project, but multiple projects that will be connected gradually, the revenues of the projects will be available to us.
Extra cash flow.
Exactly. So this is
this is amazing, because what is happening is that this is actually a very common mechanism in simple project finance. But in simple project finance, when you build a utility scale project, while you're building the project, you don't generate revenues. But when you build a portfolio project and the availability period is 30 months, and after 12 months, you've built half of the portfolio. After 18 months, you've built 99% of the portfolio. You still have enough time till the end of the availability period when you simply generate money. And you generate money that you don't need to pay because the interest payment are paid for the finance. So this is an extra cash flow for the company. Adding to that, what's the concept of merchant nodes? The merchant nodes, as that Antonio mentioned before, is a very, very interesting concept. Why? Because when we go merchant, we are trying to maximize revenue. When we go to PPA or CFD, we know we are losing some of the revenues in order to maximize debt, right? We want to use less equity. But the way it works in Italy, it gives you 18 to 30 months that you can use the merchant nodes, which means you can operate the asset in a merchant environment, and only then you go into the CFD 20 years. What does it mean on the banking side? The banking side, they don't care about the fact for that you have like you enjoy in the merchant environment for 30 months. They care that you will go into the CFD for 20 years, which means you are using very small portions of equity. And then adding to that, that in the availability period, you don't need to pay the generated revenues, it means you are using this period to create a lot of cash. And this is why Antonio was mentioning or hinting before that Sunprime has got to a very interesting situation where they can build and they actually don't need equity. They are putting equity, but they are generating equity for their self-development and also from the revenues they are creating during the availability period. And this is a very, very good position for a fast-growing company to be in. Sunprime can go as fast as they want, but they don't need more equity injections from the parents, which is very good.
Yeah, we expect to enjoy from the merchant nodes also for batteries. So no, we will run the battery under a merchant regime in the first 12, 18 months. And then we will start a period of contracted revenues.
Tolling.
No, there will
Into
be
tolling.
exactly tolling with Terna, the TSO here in Italy, or with third parties.
So again, the same concept. Making sure there is some kind of contracted revenues horizon. So the bank can let you finance the majority of it. And then before you go into that commitment, you enjoy yourself. You're making money in the merchant, and then you go back into that commitment.
Exactly. So we secured revenues in the longer term where revenues are more uncertain, but in the short term, we enjoy the market context with very high electricity prices.
No.
So here a brief review of the regulatory context. So let's start with the solar side. So as anticipated, we had FAIR 19, a very nice scheme where Sunprime was one of actually I think the most successful bidder in the related tenders. We won more than 300 megawatt across multiple projects. It's now over, but there's something new, as Ofer was anticipating, which is the FAIR-X. So FAIR-X is a scheme that will continue to support our typical size of projects. So up to 1 gigawatt AC projects will benefit from a 20 years CFD in the very, very good tariff level. No project in the north, no tracker, no will get 88 euro per megawatt hour, so very good, a very good tariff. And we have hundreds of projects ready to build, no, that will benefit from this tariff, and we'll have direct access to the CFD. Actually, no, with FAIR 19, you needed to do a tender. Now you get immediate access to this tariff. For projects above 1 megawatt, there's still a tender, and Sunprime has also projects.
So to translate it to the terms that we're familiar with in Israel, we have the feed-in tariff scheme for 45 shekel cents, but it was limited to 200 kilowatt that you could add kilowatt AC that you could add, I don't know, 300 kilowatt DC. Here you can get it for one up to 1 megawatt. So it's a feed-in tariff scheme. It's pay as produced. It's a safety mechanism, but it's the same as feed-in tariff scheme. And you simply connect and you get the access. Amazing regulation.
A very important thing from FAIR-X is the horizon that we have, no? Because say
5
for
years.
this year we have more than 10 gigawatt available, but then until 2029, the FAIR-X will tender another 40 gigawatt, so very impressive volume, and also additional gigawatt for direct access projects. So we have a good horizon to look at during which we can grow on the basis of this important support.
And for the bigger project, what are the regulation available for the bigger projects?
We'll also have fair extenders that will give us a CFD, of course, CFD with different numbers, that will go through a competitive process, but still good numbers and giving good returns. On top of this, we expect an additional scheme. It's called the energy release, which is expected to provide a tariff 65 euro per megawatt hour for larger projects, still for 20 years, on 50% of the production, and this will be an additional 5 gigawatts. So if we consider what we'll have available in the market for the next 4 years, well, it's a significant volume, a significant number of gigawatt that will be supported with the CFD from GSE, so from government.
So you can see that the regulation framework also for big project is also very attractive because you have good numbers, you have great certainty, and this kind of make you question why the market in Italy, why they don't connect like 100 of gigawatt a year. And the answer to that is that it's very difficult to operate in Italy. And here, Antonio and the team is one of the biggest advantages we have. He's like a gun in a knife fight. He can do things in Italy that are very, very efficient and always beat the expectation. So
on the batteries side, we have the capacity market. So that gives you a fixed premium for 15 years for the simple fact that the battery facility exists. And the MAXE is a sort of tolling agreement provided by Terna still for 15 years for projects mostly built in the south. But more important, the market is now making available also tolling agreements, so larger utilities, now starting from the experience of Nofar in other countries, in Germany, in the UK. We are now working on tolling agreements with large utilities, which will give us the mix of merchant revenues at the beginning, okay, and then stable revenues over time, allowing very good financing terms as well.
So tolling is a PPA for batteries, and Nofar was, I think, the first one to engage in a tolling agreement in the project in Germany, which has become a case study for the market. And now these agreements are now becoming available also in Italian market. In Italy, there is a zonal pricing system. The energy prices in the different areas is very different because of different energy mix. And this is why in the north you have the capacity market, and in the south you have MEXA, which is a very, very good and very, very attractive arrangement. Both of them are very good, very attractive. And as we said before, to have this ability to go at some point into the contracted revenues, which means at the beginning you finance in a very efficient way, using very, very small equity, and then till you're moving into this tunnel of contracted revenues, you have the time in between that you are maximizing your profit. It's an excellent scheme. Excellent.
So what about profitability? I mean, is it what we are doing worth it? Yes, it is, because as we can see, and I think this metric, EBITDA over CapEx, say first year EBITDA over CapEx is very good for our solar projects. It is in the 15% range, actually slightly higher in the initial years as we are enjoying what we call the merchant loss. If we look at the same metric on the batteries size, it's actually even better. It's true that batteries have a shorter life. Now we are, but still not 20 years. We are assuming 30 years for solar. But the numbers, of course, improve significantly. We are one of the very first movers in the market, no? So of course we are enjoying a moment of very high profitability, driven also by reducing CapEx. Okay. So I think this is important, I already mentioned it, but what we do in Sunprime, we have built a team of 120 people. You can see a picture of a moment now that the team spent now a few weeks ago all together. It's very important to keep all people happy, I believe now, and this is something that is happening here at Sunprime. But as I was saying, we do everything in-house. So from origination, finding new opportunities to build projects, develop them, and then all the PC activities, so engineering, procurement, construction, of course, connection, and then asset management. So this is a key success factor for Sunprime, making the business very competitive versus other competitors in the market. How we expect to grow? So three very important enablers. First, we are spending more and focusing our efforts on marketing and communication, not just making the business known in the market, but also developing marketing skills to keep growing our pipeline. Local apps means building local offices, so closer to our future projects, where we'll have more origination and project development team, so to sustain the growth in pipeline. And third, building processes and tools. So we spent significant efforts on building tools capable to facilitate the work that the teams does. Now, it's very important we manage a lot of granularity, a lot of assets with a lot of project data. And so we are now building now the tools capable to manage all this data and workflow.
And this is part of scaling up for the next level. And this is something that is constant process in Sunprime. I've watched this many times along the years that we've invested in Sunprime. This scaling up is so important because at the end you have these opportunities, but in order to be able to execute these opportunities, you have to have the abilities inside the organization. And Antonio is doing a great job in creating the next level tools and procedures, and also the fact that opening offices now in the different locations and creating the origination and be able to have the asset management, different areas of Italy is something that is very, very important.
So I think we can summarize offer. It's been long, the 30 minutes that we had, but in few words. So first of all, what's Sunprime? A CNI market leader for sure. No, one of probably the only company that managed to build and connect more than 200 megawatts of solar projects over the last 2.5 years. And a first mover within the best segment here in the market. Most of our revenues, well above 90%, are contracted revenues for 15 years for the batteries, 20 years for solar, with the upside of merchant revenues at the beginning of the operation of the assets. I believe now we have proved our capabilities of securing financing now with the first transactions and this third transaction that we expect to close within the end of the year, beginning of the next year. That will be one of the largest financing deals in Italy, 500 million euro, dedicated to both solar and batteries. I think we proved also the capability to grow organically. We haven't bought any company, but we have grown everything internally. Meaning that we have now maximized the benefit from for our shareholders' initial investors.
And NOI.
Investment. Yeah, Nofer and NOI initial investment. What about the future? So I believe that we can reach the 1 gigawatt milestone now by 2029 within the FERX scheme for the solar segment. We will for sure build and connect several gigawatt hours of batteries. The target is 3 gigawatt hours. And all of this will not require, at least given the current regulatory and market context, additional investment. So
it's a wonderful situation to be when you don't need more equity. You can simply finance the goal from your own revenues, and only unique companies manage to achieve this. So congratulations on that. Also congratulations on the first time presentation for institutional investor, although it's Israelis, but it's a good preparation for whatever you're planning to do in a few years.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
We have few questions, so let's take this one. But please state the question and then answer it.
So we have one question about the status of the pipeline and the likelihood that all the pipeline will be built. To be honest, I've always mentioned to Nofar and Neufend, I don't like talking about Fanta pipeline. No? So all the numbers, I mean, this is quite common, unfortunately, in the industry, but the numbers you have seen on this slide. So the 700 megawatt of what we call mature pipeline are actual projects that have gone through a tariff review in terms of feasibility, particularly on connection, which is the key bottleneck, of course, for every project, particularly in this country where connection is very, very complicated. So my expectation is that we will connect all of them. So everything that we presented, and of course, we will keep growing the pipeline so that we have replacement. Now, if a project
Exactly.
fails, we can replace it with a
So
new.
I think this is an important comment, because when you look on a probability for a pipeline, this is something that you look when there is like a static pipeline, where you buy a pipeline. So then what is the probability? I don't know, 85%, 90%, 95%. So then I just discount. But the real metric for Sunprime is how much they are able to execute through the time, right? Through the years, the different years. And even if there is going to be a 5% of a project that will not be executed from different reasons, in the time that it will happen, Sunprime will generate more and more pipeline.
Yeah.
So this is something that is very important to understand regarding the way Sunprimes operate. Odem, you can send me the second question now. Okay. Okay, how do you see rate changing in the future? Is there a lack of electricity in Italy like in the US?
So for sure, the demand of electricity will also grow in this country. I mean, it's a clear trend in many markets, and this creates an opportunity for us to build new projects. Also, a regulation from the European Union is supporting further growth of capacity of any nature, actually. I mean, mostly renewables, but also batteries. I mentioned earlier the capacity market. Capacity market provided by our TSO, Terna, will support new capacity to make sure that capacity is available to the market in the moment of need. Of course, the demand of electricity is not growing in Italy as it's growing in Israel or any other country. That would be a dream. Okay. But for sure, there's a scope for additional growth on both the solar and battery segment.
Yeah, and I also, it's very important to mention that this for the big part of the Sunprime project, the rates are known, right? The CFD scheme is known, so we know the rates, and even if there's not going to be any difference in the electricity prices change, then we're still going to get very good numbers just from that.
Yeah. What we are in terms of market size, I mean, our share is probably around 2%. No? We are trying to do by 2029, 2-3% on what will be the overall incremental solar and batteries pipeline that is required in the country. So ambitious, but no, for sure there's room to build such volume.
I think you will do more.
We'll try.
Okay. Rotem, you have any other questions for us?
No.
All right. Okay, guys. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to introduce Sunprime, one of the gems in the subsidiaries of Nofar, and we're very happy to be in touch with you for further questions in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.